Welcome to Scary and Bizarre Short Stories. I'm your host, Larry Lee Roten. This is a bizarre short story. Do witches really exist? And if they do, are they good or bad? I'll let you decide. I hope you enjoy this story. It's called Stuttering Mary. Mary Ann was a 10-year-old girl and an only child. Life would be filled with excitement, fun, and friends for most children her age. However, Mary had no friends. She struggled with a severe speech impediment that caused her to stutter. This difficulty made her shy and withdrawn, leading her to speak only when absolutely necessary. It was indeed a challenging time for Mary. Mary attended a small elementary school. Each day, as she walked home, her schoolmates would tease her relentlessly. They mocked her stuttering, calling her Stuttering Mary. They hurled hurtful comments at her, repeatedly saying hateful things. Mary ignored their attacks and, most afternoons, cried as she walked home. The more they teased the young girl, the more resentful she became. However, there wasn't anything Mary could do about her circumstances. As hard as she tried, she couldn't stop stuttering. One evening, as 5 of her schoolmates followed her home, they began teasing her. A girl picked up a rock and flung it at Mary, striking her in the head. Mary fell to the ground, and the kids laughed and kicked at her before running away. An old woman approached the helpless girl and helped her to her feet. She noticed the blood, took an old rag from her purse, and pressed it to Mary's forehead. "There," she said. "I hate those kids," Mary shouted. "I wish I could." Mary stopped. "You wish you could what?" asked the old woman. Mary spoke softly with tears in her eyes. "I wish I could make them go away and just leave me alone." The old woman took Mary by the hand and said, "Come with me, and we'll see what we can do about that." The old woman took Mary to her home. The house was small, well kept, and somewhat neat in appearance. Though modest in size, the walls were adorned with shelves filled with peculiar objects, dusty books with ancient bindings, jars filled with curious substances, and trinkets that seemed to hum with energy. The old woman handed Mary a small bottle. "Take this potion and put a drop of the liquid on anything those kids own. It's magic," she said. A mischievous smile crossed her face. "It's a wicked potion." Mary took the bottle and asked, "What will it do?" The old woman snapped at Mary. "You don't need to know what it does. You just need to use it." She let out a creepy laugh followed by a snort. "But you won't have to worry about those kids again. This potion will make them stop teasing you." The old woman folded her hands and placed them in her lap. "It's magic," she said proudly. "Magic?" whispered Mary. "Yes," said the old woman. She handed Mary a cup of hot tea. The next day Mary walked behind the girl who had thrown the stone. She took the small bottle and placed a drop of the liquid on her blouse. Nothing happened. Mary assumed the old woman had tricked her, but she put a small drop of the fluid on each kid that had teased her so relentlessly. She did so. The next morning the small town and the school were in an uproar. 5 kids were missing, gone without a trace. The news spread fast, and everyone searched for the missing kids, but to no avail. Mary couldn't believe it. Finally, the kids that had caused her so much pain were gone. Mary was happy. 2 weeks passed, and Mary's life had significantly improved. She walked home every evening without anyone teasing her. But Mary's conscience wouldn't let the young girl rest. She wondered where the kids had gone and if they were still alive. As Mary entered her house, her mother met her at the front door. She held up a small bottle and asked, "Mary, where did you get this? What is this?" Mary screamed, "It's nothing. Where did you get that?" "In your room," said her mother. "I found it on the floor." Mary became quiet. "What is this, and where did you get it?" Mary bowed. "Mother, I think I've done something terribly wrong. I got that from an old woman. She said it was magic and it would stop the kids at school from teasing me." Mary's dad looked at the small girl. "Mary, who's been teasing you?" "The 5 kids that had disappeared," Mary said. "I put a drop of that on their clothes, and now they are missing. Dad, I'm afraid I killed them." Mary's dad hugged his daughter. "Mary, there's no such thing as magic or potions. If you rub this on something, it'll still be here tomorrow." He took the bottle and put a drop on his finger. He rubbed it on his shirt and onto his wife's hand. "There, you'll see. We'll still be here in the morning." He touched Mary's blouse. "You'll be here, too." He set the bottle on a table. "No!" Mary screamed. "Dad, this old woman told me it was magic and would take care of the kids who teased me. Now they are missing." Mary stared at her dad. "I think she's a witch, Dad. You've doomed us all." Mary's dad and mother stared at their little girl. "How could we be so blind? We didn't know you were being tormented at school. We are sorry, Mary," said her mother. "This bottle contains no magic. It's not going to make your troubles disappear. It's just water." "Mary, take me to the old woman who gave you this," her dad said. Mary and her parents stood outside an old house. By all appearances, it had been abandoned for years. A neighbor walked up and spoke. "Terrible sight," he said. "It's a small house, but at one time that old house was beautiful. A couple and their daughter lived there. The little girl stuttered a lot and was a loner, kept mostly to herself. People say her parents locked her away in the room because they were embarrassed by her stuttering. Others say the little girl was a witch, always studying the dark arts, magic, and potions. But I don't know, as this was before my time, but that's how the story goes." The man rubbed his hands together as if trying to keep them warm. "One day while their little girl was at school, her parents just disappeared, gone, without a trace. They never did find them or any of their remains. They just vanished. They left their cars in the drive and all their clothes still hung in their closets. When the police realized her parents were missing, it was hard to understand the girl as she stuttered severely. I heard the kids at school teased her a lot. Their daughter still owns this place. She must be in her 90s by now, or maybe older. She still won't let anyone tear it down." The man rubbed his knuckles. "Well, not until she dies." "My daughter was here a couple of days ago," Mary's dad said. "An old woman gave her a bottle of liquid and told her it was magic. Have you seen anyone hanging around this house?" "No, but I don't sit around staring at that old eyesore," said the man. "No one's been here for years." "Dad, when I came here, the house didn't look like this. It wasn't run down," Mary said. A few days later, Mary was reported absent from school. Local authorities found Mary and her parents missing when they investigated. Their cars were parked in the driveway, but Mary and her parents were never found. The police were baffled by more disappearances and had no explanation for why their citizens were vanishing. The front door to Mary's house opened, and the old woman who had given Mary the bottle of liquid walked in. She picked up a bottle on the table and put it in her purse. An evil smile crept across her face. Whoa, what a magical day," she said. Mary opened her eyes and stared at the old woman across from her. "I see my tea made you sleepy," the old woman said. "Yes," said Mary. "I had a dream." "Yes," said the old woman. "My tea does that sometimes. She placed a small bottle of liquid in front of Mary. You wanted this, yes? Mary stared at the bottle. Then she stared at the old woman. No, I've changed my mind. I best be going home now. Mary hadn't noticed, but she wasn't stuttering. I thought so, said the old woman. One must be careful what they wish for. The outcome may not always be what one expects. Mary left the old woman's house and returned to her mundane life. However, Mary never stuttered again after the old woman's cup of tea. Life in the small town continued, and the 5 kids who continuously teased Mary continued to do so. Mary would laugh and remark, "If you only knew." I hope you enjoyed this story. I found it better not to make fun of people. It's safer that way. I hope you enjoyed this bizarre short story. Please give this story a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. As always, thank you for visiting my channel.